Okay, well, once again, thank you very much, Lisa, for all of the work and bringing your team together. I am Tim Boylo. I'm the current president of the Organizational Training and Performance Division of AECT. I want to welcome everyone to this session. This is actually the third webinar in the 2017 OTP webinar series. We are trying to use these types of events to promote the talents and expertise of our members and provide outreach activities and additional professional development resources. I'm very pleased in the topic that we have for today's webinar. We will be reviewing the topic of rapid e-learning, and we will, the panel will get into a little bit of definition. We'll talk about the process of rapid e-learning, some of the associated tools, and I think that it's going to be very interesting when we get into some of the conversations, because we'll look at this both from an academic perspective, professional development, and ongoing community of practice. So with that, I want to welcome this panel, and I will turn it over to Lisa and the team to introduce yourselves. And once again, thank you very much. As you do have questions going through, please do type those in the chat window. We've got a number of presenters. I suspect we'll have plenty of moderators to answer those. And we're also hoping to have some time at the end to hear some of your thoughts and ideas as well. So again, thank you, and I'll turn it to you now, Lisa.
All right, thanks, Tim, for that introduction. I'm going to put my camera on pause because my feed keeps blanking out on this side, and I want to reduce the bandwidth that we're using. So again, thanks for your attendance in our webinar, Rapid E-Learning, an Introduction for Designers Specializing in Workplace Learning and Performance. This webinar is co-sponsored, as you know, by the Organizational Training and Performance Division of the Association for Educational Communications and Technology, or AECT. Also, it is sponsored by the Organizational Performance and Workplace Learning Department, or OPWL, in the College of Engineering at Boise State University. My name is Lisa Giacomo, and I'm an assistant professor in the OPWL department. Candice McCoy, Leah Yeatts, Jay Shuck, and Ed Crane are also presenting today. They are each former students with various prior experience in e-learning design and development, ranging from no previous experience to more than 5 years of experience. They will provide perspective on the value they derive from taking the Rapid E-Learning course as part of their master's level coursework in organizational performance and workplace learning, or the graduate level certificate in workplace e-learning and performance support. I will have them tell you more about themselves later in this presentation. I would ask that you keep your microphone on mute until we get to the Q&A period. Please feel free to write your questions down as they arise, add your own perspective to the chat box, or type your questions into the chat box. We will address any questions during the Q&A period which may arise. Our agenda for today will include a little background on rapid e-learning, an overview of the types of learning experiences I would recommend if you are just getting started with rapid e-learning processes, design, or tools, and the value that practitioners derive from these experiences. Okay, so let's get started. You might be wondering just what is rapid e-learning, or REL. In her book, Anita Rosen describes Educatera's analogy for the difference in process between producing a traditional e-learning and a REL course. A traditional e-learning course is like producing a blockbuster movie, while creating a rapid e-learning course is like creating a segment for the nightly news. The first relies on high production quality, long lead times, a large team of fairly skilled artisans delivering a high quality production, and hopefully a long shelf life product to a large audience. While rapid e-learning is quickly created, it is narrative-based and relies on a 1 or 2 person team to create, edit, and produce the piece. The rapid e-learning product may go out to an equally large audience, but the design aims at a more immediate impact rather than for long-term changes. I would define REL as a specific shortened process used to create e-learning products for which you already have existing content that just needs to be massaged for quick mass distribution. The target audience is either very large and/or experiences high turnover and/or is widely distributed across geographic locations. This multimedia-based method of instruction and mass communication is best suited for situations in which the target audience may not be motivated to read a standard printed text version or would benefit from a more visual and interactive format with assessments to facilitate comprehension. They may also be mobile device dependent. The information embedded in this type of e-learning product tends to be updated often and quickly becomes outdated. The budget for this type of product is generally smaller than for other types of e-learning products. From my own experience, REL is almost always completed by a learning or instructional designer who will call an ID and does not usually include a subject matter expert or a SME, as you are using existing content. When a SME is involved, the SME is usually the one creating the REL product, and the ID is acting in more of a senior instructional design role to provide good design guidance, reviews, and feedback to the SME. I have seen multi-day workshops where a team of IDs, developers, and SMEs come together to produce an e-learning product. That is not a REL development approach. That is a full instructional systems design and development approach, merely completed within an intense time frame or schedule. There are hundreds of different tools that can be used to develop REL products. Each REL tool will have different development features and output constraints. Today, I will just focus on Adobe Captivate 9 and Articulate Storyline 2. They are two of the most common tools that employers often describe in job postings. As you can see, some of the differences in both developer tools are listed on the slide. Adobe Captivate 9 has a lot more features than Articulate Storyline 2. Thus, it also comes with a slightly steeper learning curve. Articulate Storyline 2 lends itself better to mobile learners and developers who are familiar with Microsoft PowerPoint. Also, there is a larger support community called eLearning Heroes for Storyline 2, which is freely available online to help people learn to use the software. The Storyline 2 character packs are illustrated, whereas Captivate 9 includes high-resolution photos. Also, most people would agree that Captivate is better for software training, and the online draft feature allows for stakeholders without a license to review iterative work and provide feedback. It should also be noted that Articulate Storyline 2 can only be used on Windows, and it costs substantially more than Adobe Captivate 9. In the Rapid eLearning course that I teach for OPWL at Boise State University, individuals enrolled learn to use both tools. I find that once you learn to use one tool, individuals often find it easier and develop the confidence to learn other REL tools. I mentioned that we offer a Rapid eLearning course, which is OPWL 523 at Boise State University. Through my research and professional experience, I have come to learn that most people who are not yet formally trained are unfamiliar with how to apply theory to practice. When one learns to apply the theory behind our practice or why we make certain decisions, it is easier to become more innovative and achieve desired learning and performance results more consistently. In addition to a strong foundation in theory, individuals learn to demonstrate their ability to use two popular REL tools to create a variety of different product designs in products and in both Captivate and Storyline 2, a storyboard that can be shown off in a portfolio to potential employers. As I mentioned before, in a REL context, e-learning specialists often have to lead project team members who may not be familiar with design approaches that are proven to result in effective, efficient, and engaging learning environments. Therefore, individuals who take this course are provided with many opportunities to further develop their eye for good design and conduct reviews of instructional design strategies and e-learning products. They also learn to communicate this feedback to colleagues in a safe and supported environment. I do believe we are all here to lift each other higher. Through engaging with each other, individuals in this fully online course build professional network contacts and solid relationships that can carry them forward in the field for many years to come. Oftentimes, this results in direct referrals for future professional opportunities or alumni who seek out our graduates for new hires as well. Additionally, this community is especially useful for those who are the lone e-learning professional in an organization. As for the theories that we focus on in the course, they include cognitive load theory and the cognitive theory of multimedia learning. John Sweller first described cognitive load theory in the 80s. CLT employs aspects of information processing theory to emphasize the inherent limitations of concurrent working memory load on learning during instruction. The empirical research studies that have been conducted make use of the concept of schema as the primary unit of analysis for the design of instructional materials. A schema is a pattern of thought or behavior that organizes categories of information and the relationships among them. It can also be described as a mental structure of preconceived ideas, a framework representing some aspect of the world, or a system of organizing and perceiving new information. The information included in the schema and the instructional materials fit into one of the three categories shown on this slide: intrinsic, germane, and extraneous cognitive load. Learning or instructional designers can manage germane and reduce extraneous cognitive load to produce more efficient, effective, and engaging learning environments. Needless to say, we draw heavily on empirical research findings derived from this theory to improve our practice. The cognitive theory of multimedia learning model shown on this slide depicts the dual channel processing going on in the learner's mind when using multimedia instruction. Extensive empirical research studies have been conducted since this model first appeared in the literature. Rich Mayer and Roxana Moreno used this model and related empirical studies to inform their paper, 9 Ways to Reduce Cognitive Load in Multimedia Learning, in 2003. You may have heard of these ways to reduce cognitive load referred to as principles of multimedia learning. We draw heavily on these instructional design principles for learning from multimedia products to inform our REL design practices. In the Rapid e-learning course, we also focus on the application of evidence-based instructional design frameworks, which can be used with REL tools in a REL approach to support efficient, effective, and appealing products. When one employs this design approach, it results in products that deliver desired learning and performance outcomes, similarly to more lengthy ID projects. In the Rapid e-learning course, we also provide opportunities for individuals to create storyboards and authentic workplace learning objects that can be used in a portfolio. In fact, I have personally used several similar projects in my own portfolio to land contracts and jobs as an instructional designer. Some of our students have also leveraged their course projects to land their first e-learning jobs too, including our panelists, Candice and Leah. Storyboards are important because they allow us to gain buy-in from stakeholders. They allow us to prototype examples through faster iterations because we don't need to spend hours on creating animations or triggers that may get changed before approval. And if you're not responsible for developing the product, they provide a developer with the information required to produce the actual product. As you move up the career ladder, it is common to supervise or lead or influence other designer developers who would actually create the products as well. In the REL process, it is important to use existing content. Now, if it doesn't exist, we can still develop e-learning, but then the project would need to incorporate a more extensive upfront analyses and design work. That work is out of scope for this course. So now you have a little background on rapid e-learning and an overview of the types of learning experiences that I would recommend if you are just getting started with rapid e-learning processes, design, or tools. Next, we are going to hear about a few of my former students who are e-learning practitioner specialists, derive value from their experiences in the rapid e-learning course. Candice McCoy landed her first e-learning job after taking the REL course and completing an internship. Leah Yeatts also landed her first e-learning job after taking the REL course. Both women had also taken a few other OPWL courses, as well as were actively working towards changing their careers. While on the other hand, Shuck and Ed Crane both enrolled in the OPWL's master's degree program with considerable experience in e-learning design and development careers. I'll have them briefly introduce themselves now. So I'll call your name, and that way we'll know who goes first. Candice, would you like to tell us your name, your position title, and your role in the organization, as well as your organizational employer?
My name is Candice McCoy. I am an instructional designer with LSI MedCorps. LSI MedCorps usually provides training solutions for the VA. So they receive a lot of government contracts, and a lot of our work consists of either doing training facilitation or updating simulations or learning objects that are outdated, or sometimes developing new ones.
Thanks. Leah?
Hi everyone, my name is Leah Yeatts. I work for AAA, the American Automobile Association, at their national office in Orlando, Florida. I am their LMS administrator, their learning management system administrator, and in addition to that, I do instructional design.
Thanks. Jay?
My name is Jay Shuck. I work at Ecolab Corporation in St. Paul. Ecolab is a very large company, but I work as the training administrator and e-learning designer in a fairly small department. I'm the only one doing that in my corner. The department really sells chemicals to giant commercial laundries, for what that's worth. So it's a fairly small field, and so I'm used to being sort of a solo practitioner within that department.
Thanks. And Ed?
Hi, yeah, my name is Ed Crane. I'm a senior instructional designer with Vocera Communications, focusing mainly on e-learning development, but also doing other types of deliverables. Vocera, we create hardware and software communication tools, mainly for healthcare industry.
Very good. Okay, it's time to get started with the first panel question. What is the connection between theory, tools, and REL practice for you? Again, I'll just introduce you, call you by name, and that way we'll know who's going next. Candice?
Sure. I think the biggest connection for me as far as developing rapid e-learning that I've done so far at my job is keeping in mind cognitive load and really having good design. They really stress delivering a quality product to our clients and the government. And it's easy to build these long simulations, but when you keep those things like cognitive load in mind and design principles, you're able to deliver something that is more engaging and that also that the client really thinks is a quality product, which in turn gives us more contracts and business.
Thanks. Leah?
Yeah, I think for me, the cognitive load theory is really important in what I do as well. I think as a novice developer, because I haven't been in the field very long and my experience is a little more limited, I think there's a temptation to throw a lot of gratuitous media into a learning object just because it's fun or because you just learned how to do it and you want to show off that new skill or that new media and it looks neat. But I think when you have an understanding of how to focus your learners' brains on what's really important, what you want them to walk away with, and what distracts them and can detract from their learning. I think that really sets you apart as a developer. So for me, learning about cognitive load in Dr. Giacomo's class was really important because I did know how to maximize the transfer of learning on the job for my learners by not providing those distractions, by chunking their learning effectively, by using media to increase their learning rather than detract from their learning. By using text or audio to explain graphics, things of that nature that are rooted in theory and in research. Those types of techniques incorporated have been really important in my work as well. And then in addition, using learning agents to increase learning and using more conversational tones, first and second person language to increase the effectiveness of what I'm doing. So I literally have some of the theory and the research that I've saved from Dr. Giacomo's course. It's on my desk, and I don't even put it inside the filing cabinet. It's on top of the desk because that's how often I refer to that to make sure that I'm following those principles to make what I'm doing the highest quality possible.
Thanks. Jay?
Yeah, I would say that the points that Candice and Leah made on cognitive load theory and working memory are right on. I would add that there have also been many discussions and readings in the course on some of the strengths and weaknesses of, is that me echoing? Strengths and weaknesses of rapid e-learning, just period. That helps me kind of think about when to use rapid e-learning, what are some of the strengths and weaknesses, and if I do use them, then I would go into cognitive load theory and some of the principles of multimedia to try to sharpen my voice a little bit and make sure that I'm not distracting, and promoting the learning goal.
Thanks. Ed?
I would could echo a lot of what people have said already. I think that there was definitely a connection. First of all, being able to use both Storyline and Captivate in the course prepared me because I was using Storyline already at my work, so there was a connection there. And then, yeah, just the theories and principles that we learned, and so many of them are evidence-based that you feel confident using them in your work. So I would have a lot of situations where I would do something at work. I'd go and do some reading for the class, read about something, come back to work the next day and change something just because, I had read it and it made sense. So being able to do that and being exposed to all this research, evidence-based material made me feel confident in using it in my work. So.
Thank you. So some of the common themes that arise from their experiences in the course, connecting the theory, the tools, and REL practices, focus really on how to make good design decisions and when to follow a REL approach versus a traditional approach, and adding confidence to their practice, to their general practices at work. Okay, so the next question is, could you tell us about 3 takeaways from this course experience that will help to inform and integrate REL into your professional practice? Ed?
Sure. Well, as I mentioned, a moment ago, just being able to take what I learned, what I read, and being able to integrate it into what I was already doing. Also, just kind of understanding the differences between rapid e-learning and traditional ADDIE, human performance, traditional e-learning that takes longer, that is not as rapid e-learning. So when do you use one, when do you use the other? And then just, yeah, I would say those are the takeaways for me.
Thanks. Jay?
Yeah, I would certainly say that the cognitive load theory exposure that I had in this course is a big aid. I hope that's not me echoing, by the way. I apologize if it is. The cognitive load theory has helped me minimize the distractions and make more germane load use. But also, I would point to some of the discussion that we've had about just the industry itself was very important to me to see what people are using, to see sometimes even in the form of articles that report survey results and so forth, seeing what people value, and that those gave me ideas about what options are available and what the field is really like.
Great. Leah?
I think for me, and Ed mentioned about when to use REL principles as opposed to a more traditional ADDIE model. And for me, it was just as much about when do you know to use rapid e-learning, but also how do you use rapid e-learning, and how does that compare to a more traditional ADDIE approach? And how do you do something in such a shortened timeline without sacrificing your quality? And that was one of my biggest questions going into the rapid e-learning development course, was how do you make it shorter and still do it well? And so I think having an understanding of that, and how you can shorten that needs assessment significantly when you're using content that already exists, those type of principles was definitely a big takeaway for me in the course. And then in addition, I had never used an e-learning authoring tool prior to the course. I had experience in instructional design, but more for in-person training and for live virtual training. So I hadn't used Storyline or Captivate or any other authoring tool. So through the course, I was able to really build a foundation of basic skills in each of those tools, which is really important for the lack of experience that I had prior to that. And then third, we also got a good introduction to scenario-based learning and how that can be used in e-learning design and in rapid e-learning development. And that's been something really significant in my work with AAA in employee onboarding and in the different types of employee training that I've contributed to. That using scenarios has been very effective. It's increased the engagement for our learners, but it's also increased their learning and their transfer and their behavior change after taking the courses. And so going back to the theory again, in the class we learned a lot about how scenario-based learning really does contribute to behavior change and increased learning. So knowing that theory and then being able to see examples of how it was applied and how it can be used really gave me the tools to be able to then take that into my workplace and increase learning in that setting.
Thanks. Candice?
One takeaway, the main one, like I said earlier, was being able to make good design decisions. So I know in our company, just delivering a quality product is so important. especially with our company being a small company and really depending on getting those government bids. It's really important that we constantly deliver a quality product so that they continue to hire us to develop training solutions or different e-learning for them. So really just having good design. And also with having good design, I can tell already that it's putting me in a position to take on more lead roles. Since our company is small, you do have the opportunity to stand out more with quality work if they see that. So it is something that I'm being very aware of when I do any type of e-learning, especially with the rapid e-learning. I'm actually in charge of developing some of the content for our employee LMS, and a lot of that does use a lot of rapid e-learning. And I think even after this webinar today, I'm being reminded of some things that's really going to help cut down on my development time. So that's just, even this being a refresher has been really good, and going back and looking at those different principles and theories. And also doing storyboards. My employer was really impressed with that's something that I already knew how to do and implement, and I was able to be put onto various projects simultaneously just by integrating things that I learned in class and just being really proactive with the things that I already know. So those are probably the biggest things. Storyboards, our company, they were really impressed by that. Also just really good design, they really emphasize that. And our company LMS is something that is really big as well, that rapid e-learning is used for a lot. So.
Thanks. Yeah, so that's interesting that employers are seeing the value in making good design decisions because of the resulting high quality products and returning customers, returning clients, returning bids. And we're seeing that more and more, that our clients are gaining savviness and also able to identify people who are able to produce products that get consistent results and deliver on performance and behavior changes. So our last question is looking at how these kinds of learning experiences have contributed to your career goals and professional networking, or your community practice or job opportunities. And let's get started this time with Leah.
Yeah, thank you. For me, I can't overstate the importance of the Rapid E-Learning Development course in terms of my career growth. As I said before, I had some experience in instructional design and in-person trainings, but I was lacking the experience in the authoring tools and more on the e-learning side of things. And in the course, we produced tangible products. And we had the option to do that for real clients and real organizations, which I took advantage of that option as well. So when I applied for a contract position in e-learning design with AAA, I was able to use my projects from the class as work samples when I was interviewing. And that was really helpful to have because those were really some of my first experiences in development. So to be able to submit those and then explain also how, this was used in a real company too. So it wasn't just, here's something I did in a class, which, some people weigh that more heavily than others, but here's something I did in a course that was used in a real organization as well. And actually be able to provide them with that course and the storyboard that I had created to go with it. I really think was probably the biggest key in me getting that contract position, which then led to a full-time permanent position. And then in addition, in the interview for the job, I was able to speak to the design principles behind my work too. And I think that really set me apart from someone who maybe just was strong in using the software, but because I knew, the theory behind why I made the design decisions that I did, and I could really prove that I understand, how learners learn and able to design my work in order to increase that on-the-job transfer again. I think being able to speak to that and having that theoretical basis was something that was really important to my employer as well. And I had basic skills after the course in Storyline and in Captivate, but being stronger in the theory, I think, is the part that's more difficult to learn on the job as an e-learning practitioner. And I think it's harder for employers to feel like they can, train and assist in. Whereas with the software, once you have that foundational basis, I feel like, you can use the search engine to find out what you need, or you can go on e-learning heroes and do a tutorial if there's a certain thing that you don't know how to do. Once you have that foundation and you understand the theory, the rest is much easier, I feel like, to pick up on when you're newer to the field. So for me, it was perfect to have that in the course, and then to be able to be hired because of it, and then just grow from there.
Thanks. Candice?
Yes, I think the biggest thing is having the experience from the internship and also the course. I am 99% sure that is why I was able to get this position. My prior experience as a teacher, although I'm able to relate a lot of the pedagogical things that I used to do as a teacher, I think just having that background in instructional design and also having experience that I could put on my resume that I was familiar with several authoring tools was really helpful. And then also doing the internship, I believe, also set me apart as well. And I can't really stress enough having a portfolio sample, how important that is. The couple of interviews that I did do, they all requested a portfolio sample of the work before they even moved on to an in-person interview. So they all asked that I email them several samples that I had. So I think it's really important, I would say, for all the students to really, do really good work in the class so that you have a really good sample to give if you're new to the field, because they do ask for that. And I would probably say that was the biggest takeaway, just helping with my career, just understanding the importance of knowing several tools, because our company uses at least 4 different ones. They do use Captivate. We're really big with Lectora as well. And we do use Storyline as well. So just having knowledge of several and having portfolio samples and using what I did in class, making sure that it was, really quality so that I can have that for interviews.
Thanks. Ed?
Yeah, I came onto a new position shortly after taking the Rapid E-Learning class last summer, and I was the only e-learning developer for a while, but that number quickly increased as we hired actually an ex-colleague of mine, and then through acquisition, we acquired a couple of more people who all of a sudden were tasked with doing e-learning. And I had found that my experience and the knowledge that I had gleaned from taking the course and taking the stuff and actually putting it into my courses made me feel like I was able to take on a leadership role with these people who had much less experience with e-learning tools, and say, well, let me, here's a couple of articles about some multimedia principles and cognitive load and all the things a couple things that we've touched on today. And so that's been good for my career. Several people that most of the students in the classes, and in this class as well, specifically, they just have a lot of great experiences to share, have been very active during the discussions, and I feel like I can contact them in the future if I have questions or things like that, and I've formed a few relationships, so the networking part of it has been good. And because of the improvements to my own work, I'm sure that when I'm out looking for job opportunities, that all this will help improve my chances in that regard as well.
Thanks. Jay?
Yes, I would say that certainly getting a handle on some of the theory that has helped make my work have more impact and made my reputation in the department stronger as far as an e-learning designer. But also, I would say that this class and some others, but this class in particular, has helped me be able to speak the common language in the industry and understand some of the shared experiences. I confess I'm been remiss in some of my professional networking, but I will say that when we started, I didn't know what a community of practice was, and we talked about it in the class, and I thought, well, that sounds good, but maybe it's a little out there for my company. And then I found out that our company has one. It's even called Community of Practice. And because of my experience in this class, I was able to just understand some of the shared concerns and some of the problems and some of the things that people are doing about those. I think that's been really helpful.
Thanks, Jay. So I guess we can say that having a good foundation in the theory and the practice and the design and participating in the course discussions to begin talking about our designs and how we apply those theories and the decisions that we make and provide feedback to others has really afforded each of you an opportunity to further develop your career. Some of you have even gotten leadership roles within your organization, and you've also been able to connect what you've learned in class to opportunities for further learning on the job, which is, to me, is all very exciting. And I'm just thrilled to hear your reflections on these experiences, because I know that each of you have taken this class, some of you a year ago and others, during this past year. So sometimes, we're able to see in hindsight all the steps that we've taken a little bit clearer as well. So thanks for sharing that information with us. At this point, since we've covered a little background on rapid e-learning and an overview of the types of learning experiences that I personally would recommend if you're just getting started learning about rapid e-learning, the processes, design, and tools, as well as the value that our e-learning specialists here and practitioners have derived from these experiences, I think it's time to open it up to questions and answers for our audience here today. So if you wanted to turn your microphone on and raise your hand, I'll call on you in order. Or you can also participate by typing questions into the chat box. All right, Kate, you are the first person with your hand raised, so let's turn the mic over to you.
Hi, thank you very much all. As I typed in the text box, I feel that this topic is so timely for me. I feel like I have a similar job position and role with a lot of the presenters where although my background in my graduate work in educational technology would be closer aligned with higher education, I'm now in the part of the university that deals with research, clinical research. So all of a sudden we need the training now, and it might change. And all the people, the subject matter experts I work with, right, they don't really have a lot of background in learning theory, and so I'm trying to convert a topic that I'm not really familiar with. But so your presentation has made me realize I have to update myself a little bit more with cognitive load theory. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks, Kate, for spending some time with us today and providing some of your own personal reflections about what's going on in your career right now with us. I appreciate that. Tim, it looks like you have an idea to contribute to us here today.
I do. First of all, I want to echo Kate's remarks, and Kate, so good to hear from you again, as always.
Thanks.
I enjoy hearing about cognitive load theory, the work of Sweller, and the multimedia principles. One of a question that popped into my head as I was listening to the conversation. When I think about rapid e-learning, I draw a lot of parallels, obviously, to rapid prototyping, which is a concept that carries over from the software industry. But more specific to our field, do you or your panelists cover Merrill's theoretical base and specifically the first principles in your discussion of rapid e-learning?
Well, Tim, thanks for bringing that up. Merrill's work in his first principles, we actually do cover, but we cover that in our instructional design course. So
Okay.
that course is part of the full master's degree program.
I see.
And it is, I think it may be an option if you want to take the certificate, but I'm not sure that it's required because our certificate is geared towards somebody who really is focused on getting that first e-learning design and development position, and who may have a background in instructional design practices in face-to-face formats, kind of a thing. But we do cover it in the full degree. It's just not inside of this course. The course is a 3-credit course. It's offered over 10 weeks. It's fully online, and we do about half of our work is theoretical and half of our work is practice. Mm-hmm. And while we do some storyboarding, we focus more on the tools and then how to design specifically for those tools rather than a more general approach with Merrill.
Okay. Well, I would put that out there as I'm sure you have then, Lisa. I would encourage anyone to take a look. This is the first principles. It's a few years old now, but what I like about it, and what I think is relevant to this conversation, is that it does place a lot of emphasis on designing functional prototypes, and just the iterative process that is very common. I'm hearing from your panel members, but again, I appreciate you taking the time. I think it's a great presentation.
Yeah, thank you. It was a lot of fun to put it together. And it looks like Martha has...
Could I add to that as well?
Sure. Please do.
Yeah, I was just going to say regarding Merrill's first principles that I was fortunate, it was unintentional, but fortunate to take the instructional design class in the OPWL program prior to the rapid e-learning development class. And so I was pretty well versed in Merrill's principles going into this class, and even though we didn't hit on it specifically, I was still able to incorporate a lot of that into the projects that we did, especially in terms of activating prior knowledge and demonstration. I talked about how we did talk about scenario-based learning, and I kind of used that as a vehicle too for demonstrating and for allowing practice opportunities and application opportunities within the module. So I think it was, for me, it was a perfect blend to have, you know, the background of Merrill's first principles, then the rapid e-learning development principles, and I feel like in the work I do today, it's putting that together constantly and sort of making it all jive together in a way that's really effective.
Excellent point. Yeah, and it's again, I think it's, and this is what we glean from communities and opportunities of this type. You know, in a program that I previously taught, and I covered Merrill in a media design course. So so I think that you can put it in different contexts, but we constantly improve our skills by adding to our repertoire, and that's clearly evident in the work that you all are doing.
Thank you. Martha, can I offer you the next chance to share your insights or question?
Hi, Lisa.
Hello.
So this semester, I'm taking the other e-learning course because it was the only one offered this summer. So I'm learning about all the principles behind the e-learning, but kind of want to know if there's a way that I can learn more about the rapid e-learning in order to integrate it in with what I'm learning.
Sure. You know, how about let's turn that over to everybody that's here today. are there any recommendations that others might provide, Martha, in terms of moving forward with learning more about rapid e-learning? I kind of gave my perspective about some ideas, but I'm sure there are others out here who have other things that might be valuable as well, or that would be valuable as well, I should say.
This is Jay. Certainly the Articulate Storyline Heroes site, if you can find the Articulate site, there's quite a bit of tips and small articles on rapid e-learning related ideas. There's the Learning Solutions magazine, which is another website, Learning Solutions. I think the website address might be Learning Solutions Mag or something. But Google it and you'll find it. It has a little bit longer treatment of quite a few rapid e-learning ideas.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, Martha, we are offering the rapid e-learning course again this fall. I don't know what's on your plate, but that's an opportunity as well.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
And it looks like we have some participation and contributions from others who are typing ideas in the chat window. Landon has offered the e-learning guild and their e-learning solutions article, which I think is what one of the options that Jay had presented as well. Jeroen has suggested the e-learning brothers website as well. They do have some very good resources, and I'm sure other people will contribute. Lynda.com is a resource that many people use as well to learn features of different tools. And they have some information there too about using the authoring tools. And if I
add to that as well, Lisa?
Sure, yeah, please do.
I apologize. I think there's a little bit of a delay, so if I'm interrupting you, then my apologies for that. But I did want to add that that both Storyline and Captivate have free trials that you can use. I would not do that if you're planning on taking the Rapid e-learning development course, because you'll want to be able to use your 30 days during the course. But if for some reason, it's not working out for your schedule to take the course or whatever, do know that that's there. You can download a free 30-day trial of either software and play around with it and start to get familiar with it too.
Great, thanks, Leah. Anyone else have ideas?
I would be remiss if I don't insist that everyone come to AECT, our national convention in Jacksonville, Florida in November to find experts in e-learning and rapid e-learning.
Great. Oh, thank you so much, Tim, for mentioning that. It's true. That's the place that I've learned quite a bit about e-learning design and development and rapid e-learning.
And I'm trying to be Kate's advocate here. She's had her hand raised before we run out of time. Do you still have a question, Kate?
Yeah, sorry. It was just a comment that I thought you made some really good points. That rapid e-learning, one, depends on having already existing data. And I think that's often a challenge that some of us might find we run into, that we're expected to do both, create new content from already not existing data or content and make it fast. But the other thing too is that I use Captivate 9 all the time, every day. And it doesn't have as well, it doesn't do a learning community as well as Articulate does. And you're right that Captivate does have a very steep learning curve. It's not something you do in a weekend to pop out a project or something like that. So I have tried to expand my professional learning network as far as I can to find people that will interact with developing things in Captivate, because Adobe has some groups, but it's hard to find. Thanks.
Yeah, I see Jeroen has offered the website to elearningadobe.com, elearning.adobe.com. Also, I have seen some of the webinars that Adobe offers for Captivate, and when you can catch them, they are excellent. They're live, so you can ask questions and get immediate answers. but there also post recordings of them, and I myself have tapped on some of those recordings over the years as well to kind of learn a new feature that I hadn't used before, or something like that. So it isn't as well developed as eLearning Heroes, but there are some tips and tricks that are available out there. Also YouTube, honestly, I go to YouTube a lot, and if I need to find something, I search on the YouTube and see if it knows my answer.
Yeah, there's a guy on YouTube named Paul Wilson. I'm typing his name.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm typing his name in the chat. He's really good for Captivate stuff, and I've even typed in some comments, and he's written back to me and things like that. So I'm more of basically an articulate guy these days, but he's really good for Captivate. And the forums are pretty good as well, although the articulate eLearning Heroes they actually have a lot of articulate employees who hang out there, versus the Captivate user forums are mainly super users and things like that. But still very helpful.
All right, well, it looks like we're out of time, but again, I want to thank everyone who was able to attend today and participate to the discussion. I hope to hear from you all again soon, and I hope you have a wonderful evening. And thank you too, especially to the presenters who offered quite a bit of planning time and rehearsal time this afternoon as well. You guys did great.